Welcome to another episode of Two Ales and Hockey Tales with Wally. And today I'm so excited to have on a 33-year-old from St. Catharines, Ontario, Canada. His hockey journey took him to Canada, Austria, Scotland, and England, a staple of the London Junior Knights minor hockey program, and then became a legend and captain of the actual London Knights. And there was a second all-rookie team member, the OHL's top academic, and then he kept it local still with the University of Western Ontario in London, Ontario, and ran amok as a CIS all rookie team member, a first and second team all-star, and was the defenseman of the year. He also laced up for Canada in the Universiade and had over 350 EIHL matches between the Glasgow Clan, the Sheffield Steelers, and the Fife Flyers, and was also an EIHL second team all-star with yours truly in 2014-15. Welcome to the shed, Scott Aarssen.
Thank you very much for having me. That was quite the introduction.
Yeah, research team was hot. You've done a lot, man. You're the captain of the London Knights, and I looked at that roster. That's wild that you're the captain of all those guys.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of obviously skilled, talented players and a lot of great guys as well. And, it was definitely an honor. And I was a hometown kid. So
are you from St. Catharines or
cool.
London?
Yeah, it's a bit misleading, isn't it? I was born in St. Catharines, but I grew up most of my life in London. So
right. Yeah. If the research team was hot, it would say I'm from Georgetown. I'm not from Georgetown. I'm from Elmira.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. No, I get it. Okay. So what age did you move to London then?
We moved here when I was about 9 years old, almost around 9 years old.
Is that around when you meet Lee Salters?
No, unfortunately, I didn't meet him till a bit later. Yeah, like I said, unfortunately, but yeah, we did cross paths later down the road, and yeah, he was a year younger than me. So growing up playing minor hockey, he was always their team was stacked. Our team wasn't so much growing up, but
gotcha.
Ran across him. I think first time I kind of really noticed him was in high school hockey. He absolutely killed someone on our team or on another team, and caught my eye real quick.
Yeah, he's pretty big there. When I played with him in Cardiff, he's a lot bigger than me.
Oh yeah, he's an animal, that's for sure, but great guy.
So I usually get into how we know each other. We've never met. So thanks for doing this.
Yeah, no problem. I'm glad I could make it, and thanks for having me. I know, you got kids, I got kids, so it's
busy times.
It's not always easy, right? It's busy, but
well, it's nice when people make it work with me. So thanks for doing that. I think the first time I reached out to you was I was having the clan chat, and I wanted the core guys on, and I was talking with Salsa who that was. And I know when I played for Cardiff, it's not hard to figure out who like the core guys are on the other team. And you were one of them. I was a big fan. But you guys had a great team there in Glasgow, eh?
Yeah, we had a real special team, especially, that 1 year. I know I've listened to most of that podcast that you had with some of those guys from I think it was 14-15.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was just, on and off the ice. Everything just clicked, everyone gelled, everyone got along, and
fun when that happens.
We worked hard and played hard. So it was a good year.
Yeah, working hard and playing hard is the best recipe for success, in my opinion. But I guess maybe I'm old school. Who knows, right?
No, I think it was great. But yeah, it's I'm sure we'll get into it a bit more.
Yeah. So, anyways, then I guess you couldn't make that clan chat because, like you said, we're all busy. We got kids and shit.
Yeah, no, I was upset I couldn't make it. It was great to hear some of those guys' stories though, and reminisce, kind of listening back on it. And
oh, it's really fun.
It gives you a little taste, right?
Well, when you think of that team, you had Keith, Salt, you also had Mizey and Frankie and Railer. Like, I mean, Mizey, I didn't know him until I started the shed. I think he's just a real dandy. I've enjoyed his trips to the shed.
He's a special guy, that's for sure. Yeah, we so Salts and I lived together that year.
Oh, really? Eh?
We had a spot together, and we were right across the hall from Mizey and his wife. So there was a lot of late night visits, and
I know what that's
A
like.
few beverages and some story time with Mizey as well.
Well, Salts was my Cardiff babysitter once or twice. He helped out the Waltons when we were in a pinch. So yeah,
What a
it's a
guy! What
small
a guy!
world, the hockey world, isn't it?
Oh, it really
Uh,
is.
but okay, where and what are you doing now?
Yeah, I'm in London, Ontario, and working an office job. I'm working at Canada Life. So
So you got into
insurance.
that right out of hockey or what?
Yeah, I took a little bit of time, and obviously when I ended my career, it was when COVID ended a lot of seasons. So
That's when you
it
were
was
done. That
pretty.
was the year. Oh, that's a
Yeah,
tough time to be
it was.
breaking into the real world.
Yeah, it was a tough time for sure. It's for everyone, but
So do you
obviously
think
tough
you'd
to
still be
get out of a
playing if it
job.
wasn't for that shit?
Um, I don't think so. I mean,
Were you
I I
planning
was
on
kind
being
of
done?
I was kind of pretty much foot out the door anyways. It just kind of it sucked a bit, right? That I didn't know my final game was my final game.
I know
Um,
what that feels like. Yeah, I didn't know mine was my last, and then the next morning my leg locked, and I was like a pirate.
oh no.
Yeah,
Yeah, so there you go. You know exactly what it's like. It's tough when you can't kind of enjoy those last few games and couple home games left, and
really soak
um,
it in.
yeah, take it all in and
That's why you go to the
before.
shed, and then you can soak it in all the time.
Yeah, yeah, this is perfect.
Yeah. Well, okay, so that's when it was over, eh? The start of the baloney. Okay. So you do have kids. What do you got?
So we have three kids. We got a boy who's 6. His name's Max. He was born in Glasgow. And then we have a daughter, Gracie, and she'll be 4 soon in a couple weeks. And then we have another son named Lane, and he's a little older than a year and a half,
Oh, so
pushing
you're
2 years
busy,
old.
busy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, we're about
uh,
as busy as it can be right now, but
well,
it's all
tell the
good.
wife thanks for letting us pod.
Yeah, no, I'll let her know. She's a saint, so she's
uh,
taking
so
care of
how
them. I
is
think for
Canada
most of the
life then?
state.
How's the office job? You loving it?
It's not too bad. It's get my foot in the door and create other opportunities, but it's definitely a huge change from
Isn't it?
living the semi-pro hockey life overseas.
Yeah.
Um, I know
Working
not just
hard and playing
myself.
hard.
Yeah, exactly. It's a bit
Yeah.
different, and like just doing a lot of stuff online and on the computer and at a desk. It's a bit tiresome sometimes, but it's good. I enjoy it, and um, the one downfall I think is my wife and I always talk about it. Um, Playing hockey, you get to actually we had our kids over there for a few years, and you actually get to spend a lot of time with them because you're
You
you're
get to
at the
spend way
rink.
more time with them because
Yeah,
practice doesn't take that long.
yeah, you're at the rink a couple hours maybe a day, skating a workout, and the rest of the weekdays, you're at home and you get to
It's awesome.
travel or do whatever you want, right? While you're over
Whatever you
there. And
want the rest of the day. Yeah.
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 So it was a bit of an adjustment, but I've been working from home in the role that I've been doing, so not too
Me,
bad.
me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been working from the shed
Well,
a
is
lot,
is the
actually.
shed is the shed separate? Is it a separate
This is
building?
the shed is also my office for work too during COVID. So yeah,
Oh, nice.
yeah, I do a lot of work out here. It's like a home away from home, really, but it's in the backyard.
A little oasis for you.
Yeah. Okay, I had another question. I forget what. Oh, so then when it happens, the season ends short, you're on the plane ride home. Do you know you're done at that point?
Yeah, I think we
What's the
we had some
anxiety level
emotional.
like on that flight back? Because that I had like months to deal with the shit because my knee had locked. I stayed over there and acted like a donkey and spray painted myself naked and did pregame speeches. And then I always knew this date was coming, that the season was going to end and that the real world was waiting for me. But still, when we packed up like our 10 hockey bags of shit and got to the airport, and I had 2 little kids, and I had a wife that wasn't gonna be able to work in Canada for a couple of years because she's American. I was like, wow, am I fucked?
Yeah, it was it wasn't quite your situation, I guess, but
Right.
um, it was, yeah. I knew I was done, and just sucked that we couldn't really, like I said, take it in the last few games, knowing it was my last few games. But yeah, it was just kind of, it was emotional because we loved living over there. We loved the lifestyle, and
Having all the
it
time
was it
with
was
your
tough
kids
to
and
say
working hard,
goodbye.
playing hard. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, and like just being somewhere different, and we kind of had the best of both worlds, right? You get to go overseas for 8 months, 8 9 months, come home, see family and friends for a couple months, and then
And it's the nice
head
months.
back
It's
over.
summer. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
it
It's a
was it
pretty
was
good
tough.
gig. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a great gig, and the plane ride was interesting. That's, like I said, it's when COVID broke out, so we were scrambling to find flights home. I think we canceled about 2 or 3 sets of flights before we finally got one, and we actually had to, because they shut down so many airports. We had to fly out of London, England, and we were in Fife.
Fife. That's a hike.
So that was like a 9-hour drive. We had to rent a massive, like, cargo van, pack. It was us and 2 kids, 2 small children at the time. Wife's pregnant. She's about, trying to think now, 6 months pregnant-ish at that point. And we had a dog that we ended up getting while we were over there. So we had to bring the dog with
So
us. And
yeah,
like
you
you
had
said, it was
enough
about 10
stuff on
hockey
the way
bags.
back. Yeah. Yeah, you had enough
Yeah.
stuff.
And it was just, it's crazy to think of it now, just airports were dead, and the airplane, at that point, not a lot of people were wearing masks yet, but it was, we made it through, we survived, and it was a good team effort by the
Yeah.
Aarssen clan.
And then you got into the real world, and here we are.
And here we are.
So do you have anything to do with hockey anymore then? Is your son playing?
Yeah, Max, our oldest, he's playing like Timbits hockey
Yeah.
locally here, and uh, I decided to help coach. So I'm his coach for his team. They kind of break up into like teams of 10 kids, so I'm their coach, and it's been great. Just
Yeah, it
being
is
on the ice with
great.
him, but also trying to teach him as well a little bit here and there. And he's slowly, like, he's slowly starting to become more and more interested, and finding
Yeah.
his love for hockey. Like, I think halfway through the season, we had some outdoor ponds around here, and put a little rink in the backyard, and you could tell he started to ask to skate more and more. So I think he's enjoying it. As long as he's having fun, that's good enough for
That's
me. And
that's what it's all about, is loving it. And yeah, I know,
yeah,
my team I'm coaching is under 11, and we went to the all Ontario championships there. And yeah, we lost in the quarters, but man, the team, like, they love hockey. They're like hockey guys. And like, when they weren't playing in the tournament, they wanted to be playing mini hockey, and they wanted to be watching videos about hockey, and like, they're just all into hockey now, and they love it. And it was exactly the season I wanted as my first year, like, as a real coach, taking a team from the start of a season to the end, and like trying to win stuff with them. Man, it really gets the juices pumping when you're coaching kids in like a all Ontario game, man. It is wild.
yeah, that's the top of the heap, right? The Ontario finals, provincial finals. I was hoping you'd have some silverware with your a nice
Yeah,
looking
well,
trophy
we
beside
got
you.
everything we could out of the kids, and we were right there with the big dogs, and it was a team that started the season 0-3, and we we weren't expected to do as well as we did, and I think we did. It was awesome, and then we got put out the Saturday night, so then we could all have a team shindig, instead of playing the semi Sunday morning against the Shallow Lake Crushers or whatever they are. But anyways, moving on. Coaching kids is really fun, and it gets way better after
Is
Timbits when it's like a real team and you get to like really do her.
Yeah, you get to yell at them sometimes,
I lost my voice, but like, not yelling at them in a bad way, like
No, I know.
trying to get them to change when it's the right time, or like, that's
Or
about
just
the
getting
only
them
time.
pumped up, right? Getting
Yeah,
them
you
motivated.
should have heard my speeches. They were wild. That's where I lost my voice. But I added another speech. So I'd take them outside. I'd lead the jog outside. We do a warm up, and then I bring them in for like a thing, but I do like a talk with them to get them focused before they went in the room. So I had that speech, which got loud. And then I do the starting lineup and like the real pregame speech. And
Oh,
man, they were
nice.
intense. Yeah.
Nice.
It was
No,
nuts.
is your son, do you have a son on the team, daughter?
Yeah, yeah, son's on the team. Yeah, so we had a
Oh,
hoot.
nice.
Yeah, it's great memories from this season. It was a season I'll never forget. I told this story yesterday when I talked to Matthew Byers, but it was a moment I'll never forget. Was after we lost and everybody was upset. And then we had our meetings, and then a kid came up to me and gave me a hug, and yeah. And then the next kid came and joined the hug, and then the next kid. And then all of a sudden, we had the entire team standing in the middle of the locker room, all having a hug. We were having like a cry, but also like a laugh because it was so ridiculous. We were having a group hug, and it was one of the coolest moments I've ever had in my life. So
Yeah, definitely. That's what it's all about.
it was cool. Yeah. To have a group hug with a bunch of under 11s that you really do care about. It was weird.
No, I mean those are memories for them too, right?
Yeah, well, that was the whole point of it. I even had them shirts made up, 2 Ales and Hockey Tails shirts. We were a team through and through. Had them on the pod. Yeah, great year.
Also, they're all shed guys.
Oh, they're shed guys, big time. Okay, so moving on. So did you play AAA then once you get to London the whole way up?
Yeah, so when I got to, so I'll give you a quick
How do you get
brief
into
history
hockey?
here.
Let's do that first.
Yeah, so born in St. Catharines, but I think I moved to Winnipeg when I was about a year old. With my dad's work, moved to Winnipeg for 7 years
What
almost.
was Dad's work?
He worked in insurance as well, actually. He worked for London Life. Um, and he was so they have an office in Winnipeg as well. Moved out there. So that's where I kind of learned, or at least started to learn hockey. So playing mostly on the outdoor rinks out there, because
It would have been
at that
cold as balls out there.
that young of an age, you don't get the preferential ice. You don't get the indoor ice most of the time. So they'd have like us get dressed inside or put your skates on, and then they had like the little, like kind of like Mystery Alaska, the frozen pathway that you'd skate down and go out to the rinks outside. So that, I mean, looking back on it now, was pretty cool. But at the time, you're wearing like a ski mask and 3 sweaters and extra set of mitts under your hockey gloves. It was
But that's when you
crazy.
learn to love hockey too, right? When you're just out
Yeah,
playing.
yeah, you're outside, you're playing, and yeah, I just kind of, you know, played, and I think I cried the first couple times I skated, but
I
then
think every
my
kid
feet hurt,
does.
and yeah, I think that's pretty natural. But yeah, and then I just started watching more hockey on TV. Went to a ton of Winnipeg Jets games with my
You
dad.
got siblings?
Yeah, I have 2 younger sisters.
Okay, so there wasn't an older brother showing you the way. Gotcha.
No, no. So my dad would teach me some things. He didn't play hockey, super competitively. He played a bit when he was younger, but he'd always go out on the pond with me or play road hockey, things like that. And then yeah, just watch NHL games with them on TV, and I think I just kind of fell in love with the game. I couldn't get
So
enough
if
of it.
my math is on right, it would have been a little bit after Timu Solani's like the breaking the rookie record in goals, right?
Yeah, so was it the game? We might have been at that game in Winnipeg because,
When he throws
like I
the
said,
glove up in the air and shoots
yeah,
it.
against Quebec. Yeah, he scored and then threw his glove up and shot it,
Yeah.
like he was shooting ducks. Yeah, that was.
That
I
was
remember, like, I tried to stand up and look like down the line to see where we're sitting, and I was pretty small, and I just saw this glove like fly up in the air, and then I hear everyone going crazy. It was a pretty cool
I thought
experience.
that's a really cool idea for a celebration because when you see like the Ovechkin thing where he like thinks his stick is hot and pretends it's on fire, when we were at the All Ontario's, a kid did that. And I'm like, that's embarrassing. Don't do that.
Never again.
But if you throw your glove up in the air and shoot it like it's a duck, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, no, it was cool, and then yeah, lots of cool memories just watching some of those games. Seeing some guys that would later go on to be like good players in the NHL. And then yeah, we moved from
Move to
there,
London.
went to Oakville for a year, pit stop in
Oh,
Oakville, and then we went to London. So came to London, I was about 9 years old, and the year before in Oakville, I was playing house league, and I just asked my dad asked the AAA coaches if I could skate with them for their tryouts, because we had kind of had our eyes set on hopefully making the AA team. And I got to go out and skate just so I get some ice because we were moving all summer. And yeah, sure enough, I guess I did something to catch their eye and made the squad, and then kind of played AAA all the way up.
So you did make the Oakville AAA team before you moved to London.
No, sorry, the London AAA
London.
team. Yeah,
Yeah.
after we moved kind of after the Oakville season playing house league,
Yeah.
and then yeah, came to London before the season started for.
London's a hockey hotbed now, eh? So then you got one thing I got written down. The research team found this. You were on the uh, London Junior Knights when Ben O'Connor came out of nowhere from the UK to play on your team.
Yeah, yeah. Funny enough, yeah,
What were you guys
yep.
thinking when a Brit walked in?
Yeah, it was interesting for sure. I think, he had the accent, he had the British style in
Yeah.
terms of his clothes and what he wore, and then I don't know, he seemed like he was a bit more, I guess I'll say, mature than everyone else, but
Well, and
you
that's
know,
where, just to bring it up while you're on that point, was like we have clothes that we sell with the shed here. Two Ales clothes on the website, Two Ales and Hockey Tales, folks. And the guy that does the website is British, and I'm Wally from a small town Ontario. And sometimes his idea of fashion is doesn't align with me, like wearing hoodies and like one pair of jeans all the time, that
yeah,
aren't tight.
exactly,
So
exactly.
yeah,
Yeah, no, it's
different fashion
pretty
sense,
small world. Yeah, I mean, I feel like in the UK we saw a lot of gray tracksuits walk around the malls and like downtown when you'd see guys walk around with the white sneakers and the gray tracksuit.
Every place you go is different. I remember when I went to Germany, everybody knew you were North American because you're wearing flip flops. They wouldn't do it.
Yeah,
I don't know
exactly.
how, because once I can flip flop, I'm not stopping until it's really, really cold out.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, big flip flop guy here too.
Yeah. Well, they don't do that in Germany. Fun fact. Yeah.
Not
You
too stylish.
stick out a bit there when you do that. But anyways, okay. So that would have been weird, but he was a player. He just shows up and makes your AAA team. But anyway, so what was it like then growing up? And then you're probably a huge London Knights fan, eh?
Yeah, so yeah, obviously growing up in London, it was great, and had some fun times playing minor hockey and then watching the London Knights. You kind of grow to idolize them, and it seems like it's almost the big leagues, and it's so close, right? You go to a ton of games, and I think when we were younger, we might have played in between periods at intermission once or twice, and you kind of look up to those guys. So
When I
it
did
was,
with the Guelph Storm and the Kitchener Rangers is right by where I grew up, right? So that's why I was doing the same thing. And you do idolize them. I still remember like all the players from the teams, right?
yeah, it's you remember some of those big names, and I think I think there was one year the Knights, when we were still relatively young. I think they had like the worst CHL season in history. They won like 4 games or something all year. So that
That's a
was
lot to look up to.
yeah, I know. It was I think we saw one of the wins, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
We saw one of the 4 wins that year.
So then they build that brand new arena and then the Hunters take over, right? And then everything changes. But I'm not getting into that yet. So Salts and like Drew Doughty were a year younger than you in London. Is that right?
Yeah, they were, so I was born in 88, they were born in 89.
Right. You young punks, eh?
I'm not that young anymore.
Well, it depends who you're talking to. But anyways, moving on is you grow up playing the AAA then, and then you make the St. Thomas Stars Junior B, right?
Yep, yep.
So how do you end up at St. Thomas? Why St. Thomas?
So being in London at the time, the Nationals were run by a guy who was notoriously known for just picking all like 20-year-olds. I don't know if there's a limit now, but back then there wasn't. So
Yeah,
you could
there
have like
wasn't when
all,
I was in that league. You're right. Yeah.
yeah, so you could have like as many 21 or 20-year-olds as you wanted, and he was just notorious for just taking all 20-year-olds. And so I just knew, like, I went to one skate and asked for a release, because I knew I wasn't gonna get picked. They,
Yeah.
basically said it without saying it, and yeah, I just kind of stumbled upon St. Thomas, talked to the coaches there, really liked, what they had to say, and the kind of the vibe and the environment they were creating there.
Well,
Um,
you did really well for like I found like getting out of minor hockey to junior B um was a big step, right? And you're a D man, that's probably even harder, but you had 29 points in 45 games. That's really good.
yeah, no, I did have a pretty good year, and um, I think, I had like I said, great coaches there, and we had a really good group, really good team. So I think there was a lot of confidence boost in there from that standpoint. We had a great, like I said, great team. We went to the finals, and we ended up losing to Chatham, I think, in the finals. But
The
um,
Maroons.
the Maroons, yeah, and they were another team that had like all 20-year-olds. But no, we did really well. We had um, some really good character guys, some older leaders.
You also
Um,
had, so I got a couple names written down because we love
yeah,
dropping names in the shed here because that's what you do. Logan Couture was on that team. How old's he when
yeah,
he's doing that? It's gotta be a
yeah.
young.
So he was an underager that year. So he would have played with, I think he would have played with Salts and
So
Drew
he'd
on
be a
that
year
Triple
younger
A
than you.
team.
Really?
He
They're
was an
all on that
89.
same team?
I'm not 100% sure, but that was his age group. So and he was from London.
Really?
And
Jeepers.
yeah, yeah. So like I said, they had a much better year than we did, but
Yeah.
um,
Every year
yeah, he
is
played as an
different,
underager.
especially when you get to a small town. Every year's different. What kids you get.
Yeah, yeah. No, we had some really skilled guys, and yeah, he was, even at that age, he was dominating that league. You could tell he was
He was
going
gonna
to
be a
be a good
player.
player. Yeah,
So then you're living at home then. St. Thomas ain't far, right?
yeah. I was about 20-25 minutes from my parents' house. So
The other guy I
not
had written
far.
down from I had recognized name was Mark Vokes. That it says that guy went from Wilfrid Laurier CIS, which isn't a powerhouse, to like playing for Munich in the DL. That's quite the
Yeah,
ride. That's
yeah.
unusual.
He's a really skilled player. I used to skate with him a bunch in the summers. Um, and just really slick, like great hands, really good passer, and obviously can skate. He's playing in the DEL for however many years. But yeah, he was built for European hockey, I think.
So you guys
So
were a
super
good team
skilled.
then that almost made it to the Sutherland Cup run there. Then you almost won your league. So then
Yeah.
research team found though that same year you play 3 games for the London Knights in the playoffs.
Yeah, so how that kind of worked is I was drafted pretty late by the Knights, in
That
the
would have been
10th
cool to be
round.
drafted by your hometown team, though, eh?
Yeah, it was really special and really cool. I was at the time when they had the draft, I was a little bit up in the air. I didn't know if I was going to go to college, try to go the NCAA route, or go junior.
Yeah.
And lucky enough, they took me later, so I did. I had that option. Um, if I did decide to go junior, it'd be in London, which was great. And
Well,
yeah, so
after
that
you
I
got 29 points your rookie year at junior B, you could have got a scholarship too. But you
yeah, I thought,
decided to give it up that day you lace up in a playoff game, eh?
exactly. Yeah, I gave it up. I knew what I was getting into, and yeah, I kind of skated with them all year when I didn't have junior B practices or games. And that
Oh,
was the
really?
year they
Eh? So
won. Yeah, that was the year they won the Mem Cup in London. So they
that's the
had
year they
a
call
pretty
like
good
the
team.
best team ever, right?
Yeah, yeah. They've been dubbed the best junior team ever, I guess.
Small
So yeah,
world. The goalie that got traded away because they decided that maybe he wasn't good enough for the best team ever or whatever. I was working with him here at Superheat in Kincardine.
oh really?
Ryan McDonald. Yeah. And I
Oh
played
yeah,
against him in Germany. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And I remember skating with him as well.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
he
was
was
at Superheat with me for a while here in Kincardine, the place I've been working at since I've been done hockey. Shout out to you guys. Thank you.
nice. That's a
Yeah.
small world.
It
Yeah,
really
it
is.
was.
So you played 3 games with that team though, and they won it all, eh?
Yeah, it was like I said, I skated with them just to get extra ice throughout the season, and being local, it was easy to do that. And then when my junior B season ended, I went full time with the Knights and was a black ace, just getting bagged every day with all the
Love
other
that
black
stuff, eh?
aces.
Yeah.
And then a couple injuries later, sure enough, I get to suit up for a couple games in the playoffs, and yeah, it was crazy. I mean, I think it was my first game was in London, sold out rink for the playoffs. I think we were playing, or maybe it was maybe not my first game, but I think it was the second round, and they were playing Kitchener, and it was just a battle all game. And
And Kitchener
right
would have had
before
a
the
squad back then too.
yeah, they had some players and some tough guys, and I think towards the end of the game, I probably had a handful of shifts, if that, and I'm sitting kind of in the middle of the bench, pretty much middle,
Yeah.
and
The grocery
you know,
stick.
yeah, exactly. And I got my cage on because I wasn't one of the first two 16-year-olds to sign, and um, it's getting heated. Game's almost over, and then you see, Corey Perry and Mike Richards drop the gloves at center ice, and I'm just sitting there like, what is going on right now? Because like they seem so much bigger and older and faster, and
And just
but it
so
was a
good.
great
And
experience.
yeah.
Yeah,
But then you grow up like idolizing the Knights, and then you're in a playoff game, right?
yeah. It was like I said, it was surreal, and you try to soak it in as best you can, and uh, now we got the shed to
To-
reminisce and really
Yeah.
live it up
But
again.
yeah, you see Perry and Richards fight at center ice though. And like you could see that happening because when you're in a playoff series and you're like, I'm not backing down, you're not backing down. And like those two guys are competitors, right? The way they play hockey.
Exactly, and I think they kind of went at each other all year, right, throughout the year, and um, yeah, it was just a crazy season for them. I mean, I didn't really have a big hand in that, but it was cool to kind of to
So were
be
you at the
there.
Memorial Cup then?
Yeah, yeah, I was there. Like I went on the ice after, got to enjoy the festivities a bit afterwards as well.
Oh
So,
yeah.
yeah, it was really cool, like being in the room after they won, and to really see what they did, what they put into it, and kind
What
of
it takes to win, right?
how that championship team came. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So then after that year, you make it out of camp. You're a full timer. You gave up the chance of the scholarship at the 3 games anyways. So she's full go now.
Yeah, I had no choice. I was all in with the junior route, and
So how do you
what
become
actually
how do you become the all academic in the OHL? What are you taking?
I'm trying to think back now. I think that was
Was it
I think I
OHL or
was
was it when
taking
you're in university? It was the OHL.
yeah,
You're the top academic.
it was OHL, and I think the award was for like a player that was taking university courses. I'm
Oh,
pretty sure. I'll have to double check. But because I'm pretty sure that was one of my last years, so I was taking a couple courses part time at university
and you must
at
have just been
Western.
running amok at it, eh?
Yeah, I don't know. I must have done something right that year, and um, it must have been geography and environmental sciences or something like that. But
I was curious what
uh,
you got into there. Okay. Sorry.
I,
I
I
got
I ended up
sidetracked to that. So,
I ended up taking business, but there's always a couple courses you can throw in there and
oh yeah.
boost the average up a bit.
Yeah. Sorry, I got sidetracked. So your rookie year though, you guys are good. You guys played 19
Yeah,
playoff games, so you're good again after the best team ever.
yeah, we had a really good group in core still. We had I don't want to just name guys' names, but we
Yeah,
had
you do. It's a podcast. Drop them
we
right on
had
my toes. Do it.
we had Dylan Hunter was our captain, and he's just great guy, great captain.
He went
We
to
had
Europe
guys
for a
like
while, right?
yeah, he did for a bit, and I think he had some injury trouble, and now he's actually assistant coach with the Knights
Right. So it's
with
what was
Dale.
it? It was it's who was it? The son of one of the guys?
So yeah, Dylan is Dale Hunter's son. So Dale's still the head coach, and
So he
Dylan's
named
one of the
his son the
assistants.
captain of the OHL team.
Well, the way we did it every year in London was the players would vote, just
Yeah.
like a
So the players
blind
voted
ballot.
his
Like
son, but it's just weird that he coached his son in the OHL and then that his son was the
yeah,
captain. Yeah.
yeah. I actually played with one of his other sons as well a few years later. So he actually coached two of his sons, which is a bit bizarre, I guess. But
Yeah.
yeah, we had
Coached
Dilly, and
mine in
then
U11.
yeah, I'm coaching mine in U7. So
Similar
you
to
got to
the
start
London
somewhere.
Knights. Yeah.
You got to start somewhere to groom them, right?
Oh yeah.
Um, Yeah, we had him, and then we had like Rob Schremp, Dave Boland. We had Adam Dennis in net, and we had some good younger guys as well.
Okay,
Um,
I'm gonna stop you there because I got something to talk about now. Because my kids are driving me nuts with it on my U11 team. When you're trying to run a practice and they're trying to pick the puck up like do the Michigan all the time, they're in line in a drill, and then they're not ready to go, they're not ready to pass because they're trying to pick up the puck to do the stupid Michigan. Robbie Schremp was starting all that way back then, eh?
yeah, he was. Yeah, I think he started that trend. He was ahead of his time with that, but
I remember
um,
I remember seeing highlights of him like pick it up and like throw it at
he
the net,
do.
and I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah, he kind of do like a lacrosse style, like pick it up and skate with it and cradle it, and um, it was crazy. He had some of the best hands I've seen, and we do shootout every week on Fridays, and some of the stuff he'd pull off was absolutely nuts.
Right. Yeah, no, I know. I agree. I remember being a little guy and seeing someone else that's little do that stuff. I'm like, wow, I'm not even close to good enough. There's shit
I
like that going on.
I know. I was just trying to go forehand, backhand, and score. That was tough enough for me, but
Well, and
yeah,
that's
it
what I
was
was trying
cool
to
to see
teach
that.
my kids, right? I'm like, go in there and try and score, like shoot it hard. Like, what are you doing? Don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. But so I think he's one of the few, right, that could actually do that. So if you got it, why not use it?
Well, that's what I taught them. And if you can't do it every time perfectly, you're not doing it in a game. So stop it. Okay. Anyways, moving on. So you guys, what happens in the playoffs at 19 playoff games? You
Yeah,
lost though.
so we lost. I think we ended up playing Peterborough in the finals of the OHL.
So who do they
So
got?
Peterborough came out of the East. We came out of the West. They had who did they have? They had I think Trevor Hendricks was on the team actually
Really?
for all the UK hockey fans. They had
Oh
Liam
yeah, Hendo and I
Liam
are pretty
Reddick.
close. I'm Venom. He's Spider Man. We've walked through the Cardiff Bay together.
Nice. Yeah, Hendo's a great guy. I played with him in Braehead for a year as well. And
All right.
but yeah, they had him. They had Liam Reddicks. Who else they have? Yeah, right there.
Yeah, I coughed and then I had to hork it into the empties. Sorry,
Um,
sorry, folks, if you heard that.
yeah, I think they had Jordan Stahl. They had a couple, tougher guys. Trying to think of the one guy. He had a bit of a bumpy road when he was in pro, but Daniel Ryder. Um,
don't think I know him.
yeah, he's a fairly high draft pick, I think, forward. And actually, it's not funny, but I think he ended up getting charged or arrested for trying to armed robbery or something out east.
Is that right?
Uh, yeah, yeah, he was done playing hockey and he was out in the Maritimes somewhere. But yeah, he was good
You
in
know
junior.
what? There's a
He
lot
was
of
a good
guys
player
that
in junior.
a lot of guys go through shit when hockey's over because they don't know what's next and they don't know what to do. And then, if you don't have the good support system, shit can go sideways, right?
Exactly. It's yeah, you never know, but you don't know what everyone's battling. But yeah, they had a good team. They were, I think a bit older, a bit tougher.
Hendo's
And
tough. I could take him, but he's all right. He's pretty tough.
yeah, I definitely could. So
Yeah.
no, we just, I think some of those guys, those big guns we had were playing. I think Shrimpy was playing like 39 minutes a game in the playoffs. It was insane. So
Those
kind of ran out
hunters
of
weren't
gas.
afraid to play their horses a lot, eh? I remember
No.
going to watch my buddy Dennis Weidman play for the Knights back when it was like him and Rick Nash. Rick Nash was the forward, Weidman was the D man, and they both played like they were on the ice whenever they wanted to be. Like as soon as they were ready, it was like they would just tell the other D man, like, okay, get back off. I'm going back on.
Yeah, I remember watching Weidman play when just but he would have been just before me, and
That's right.
yeah, he was same thing, never came off the ice.
No. Yeah.
But
So I'd get tired.
no, so I mean, yeah, I don't know where some of those guys got their lungs from, but boy, they were lucky.
um, so anyways, yeah, you guys were good. You end up losing it the first year. Then your second year, you had 15 playoff games. You guys are good every year in London, eh? How do they do it? How when I'm the research team's hot, how do they get these guys? What's going on? Did you have a fancy truck like Weidman in high school? Because I know I didn't
No.
have a fancy truck playing junior B. I got $20 every 2 weeks, and he had a nice
Yeah.
truck when he got home.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to say. I mean, the Hunters, honestly, like the Hunters are some of the smartest hockey people I've ever met and been a
Right.
part of a team with. Um, Dale's just a great coach, especially at that age. And I think, once they built that new rink and you have the city, you have this new beautiful like rink, NHL facilities, it kind of
It's
sells
like a little
itself, right?
NHL facility. Yeah.
Yeah, you go through the room and all the things you have available to you as a player. Um, they were just they get accused of swaying a lot of college commits over and come into play, but at the same time they draft them in those mid to late rounds and take a flyer on them so that
And
they
then they
they
do
have a
convince
chance.
them. Then they do see the facility and the city, and they're like, check this shit out.
And they see the track record like the guys that the Hunters have put in the NHL, and
I couldn't
I don't know
believe
what
it.
it is,
I
but
couldn't believe it. But
it's
coaching
got to be
does
one of the
matter,
highest.
right? Like coaching does matter, especially at that age. Grooming them into like knowing how to play hockey the right way, how to be the right teammate. I think it is the most important thing is being prepared when you get to professional hockey. I don't
Yeah,
think
and
I
like
was prepared for professional hockey, not even close. I know I wasn't.
I don't think any of us were, but they did such a good job at Mark and Dale. They both played pro for many years, and they just did such a good job at teaching you to be a pro. And at the same time, they still treated you the right way when you were that age. So obviously you're kind of kids, you're young men, and you're in junior, but um, they did have a lot of the respect was, it went both ways. A lot of players respected them, and they respected their players in return. And I think that's why a lot of guys, will say that they love playing there and love playing for Dale and Mark.
Well, that's all I've heard. Yeah, I haven't heard anything bad about playing for them. So after all those years and all those kids that play for them, sounds like it's pretty legit.
Yeah, no, it's great. It was like a dream come true. Like I said,
And
when I
are
was a
you
young
living at
guy.
home through that?
Yeah, so I was living with my parents. Yeah, everyone pretty much builded. There was a few of us from London that got to live in our family home still. Um,
There's a few guys from
there's one
London
guy.
on the team.
Yeah, there's actually I played a buddy of mine, Matt Clark. Grew up playing AAA with him, and um, that year I played Junior B. He was in a different team, and then we ended up playing together with the Knights for 4 years. So pretty cool, pretty special.
Yeah,
And
no
there was a couple
shit.
other guys that came and went from London. So, but yeah, it was. There's actually just this made me think of something. There was one guy we had. Uh, it was Sergei Kostitsyn, and he was I think he was 18, 19 at the time, and he came to play. I think he played 2 years, but he didn't want to live with a billet.
Yeah.
So,
No.
I think for like a week or two, he came and actually lived with me and my family until they sorted out his housing. And yeah, it was pretty interesting. He'd eat like 3 plates of pasta with like ketchup on it, and then
Oh.
uh, the guy had his ass was so big he he'd have to get like custom jeans made, but he was just a player. And they ended up sorting out his housing, so they put him like um, right downtown, like close to the rink, but right downtown, right near all the bars. And
He's
I think
from
he lives like
Belarus, right?
he's from Belarus. Yeah, I think he ended up living like in a basement apartment downtown, like right next door to a strip club. So yeah, he got
Legs and eggs.
yeah, he had full independence, but it didn't, his performance
But that's
didn't waver.
right. And you got to let people be themselves, right? And the way he would have grown up and what he would have been ready for at that age,
Yeah,
like
Eastern Europe, yeah, it's a different world.
it is different and they've grown up differently and he's ready for different things than a young boy from Elmira, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
That's hilarious. But yeah, say so research team saw he played when I'm dropping names like crazy here today because you played with a lot of stars, man. So that Kostitsin was playing with Patrick Kane when he goes to London and they woo him to London, right? 145 points. And you watched that?
Yeah, yeah. It was
You were on the power play with him or what?
no, that was not. I think we had 5 forwards on the power play that year because there was Sergey.
145 points. Is that not the record? Or what
I
I
think it's
get?
close. It's close. Points per game, it's got to be close because I know he missed a bunch with World Juniors and some other things, but I think he only had one game where he didn't get a point that year. Obviously, because 145 is a lot. But
Yeah,
yeah, it was our first line power play was him, Kaner, Sergey, and Sam Gagne.
that's
Was
okay.
also there that year. So I think they all had like 100 and something points
But
between
nobody's
the three of
standing
them.
front with those three. Who's standing front?
No, I'm trying to remember now. I think trying to figure out my years.
Yeah, I know. They all
There might have been Dave Meckler. I can't remember exactly. But
usually
yeah,
on a
I think we
power
had
play, somebody's got to be in front, right? You say those names, it doesn't seem like any three of those are going to want to like be right in front of the goalie.
no exactly. I think we had 5 forwards. It was a pretty crazy power play, and they just stay out for the full 2 minutes most times because
And I find, okay, so the Hunters are such great coaches, right? And I've seen Weidman do it, Rick Nash do it, and then you got Corey Perry, you got all these guys, and their top players were staying out for 2 minutes on the power play, like no questions asked. Is that not hard for team dynamic that like you're the second unit and you're like, well, we're practicing and everything, but there's no way we're going.
yeah, I mean, yeah, at that point in my career, I wasn't really playing much power play, so didn't affect me. But yeah, I'm sure it was affecting some of the other guys. But I mean, how do you argue with
Right.
them? It usually didn't take them 2 minutes. They usually would score within 30 seconds. But um, if it was like, if it was like down a goal late in the game, we had a power play, they would probably stay out for most of the 2 minutes if they could, just to try to get one right and tie it up.
No, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
But, yeah, I know what you mean. It can be tough for some of the other
Like
guys.
when teams when there's two power plays, and that second unit's not getting out there much, they can get a little sour, right?
Oh, yeah. No, I definitely know what you mean. The tension starts to build and you
I'm
can feel
surprised
it.
it doesn't go on with the Hunters. They must be really good coaches that they can have that because there's definitely guys playing a lot of minutes. The
Oh,
horses.
yeah.
Wonder if it's still like that.
Yeah,
Anyways,
I mean, I'm sure they haven't changed much.
probably not. Okay. So the year you're the captain, dropping names like they're hot. Kadri, Carlson, Tavares, Delzato, Ronaldo. And I just wrote like there's like 10, 12 NHLers on one team, and you're the captain. So you grow up it kind of in London, right? From a young age, and like your main hockey years are in London. And then you become the flipping captain. That would have been a cool day. How'd you find out? Name or your
Yeah,
team picked you. You're
yeah, I think it was a team vote again. And, um, yeah, that was, like you said, you kind of named off some of the players. It was a crazy year. We obviously went all in because we traded for Tavares, and
oh,
I think
he
we
so
also
he came from
traded.
like Oshawa or something. Don't I remember him being in a layup
So
there?
we got Tavares and Delzato from Oshawa. Um, they both came in the same trade, so I don't know what we gave up for them, but
That's what I never
yeah.
understand is how London is so good every year. Because once you give up those
Well,
things, I thought you don't have them the next draft, but
I
apparently they
know, I
do.
know, I know some of the players we gave up, and they're good players. Like Christian Thomas, played in Europe for a while, played a few NHL games.
Yeah, yeah. He's with the
Stumpy's
Leafs
kid.
organization, right?
Yeah, it's Steve Thomas's kid, and then I think a young goalie who ended up, doing really well, and another young D man that did really well, and then probably 8 first-round picks or something crazy. But
Yeah, they don't need the first
um,
round picks. They don't need the fifth rounders, and then they just got to woo them, right?
yeah, exactly, exactly. You only need those mid to late rounders. Um, but yeah, no, it was yeah, like I said, it was just an honor to be the captain of a team like that, and to be a captain of any team, but especially that team. And it was unfortunate we had an early exit. We
It,
lost to Windsor.
early.
Well, like Western finals, so the semifinals
Yeah.
of the league. We lost to Windsor, the Spitfires, in I think 5 games, but every game went to overtime. And that was the
Oh,
start. They ended up winning 2 Memorial Cups in a row, and that was their first one. So they had a bit of a dynasty on that
right.
side as well.
So
And we
that was
ran
like
into them.
Taylor Hall and them, right?
Yeah, it was
Ellis or whatever. The demon.
Paul Ellis, Henrique. I don't. There's a ton of players they
We're
had.
dropping names like crazy, eh? We should have
Why
worn
not?
steel toe boots.
Why not?
Yeah, of course. It's a podcast. And those guys are really good, right? Way to go.
Yeah,
So, but then okay, here's my questions, right? So you do good. Your team's good every year, and you're the captain, you're the leader. And what are your pro options? What goes on when you're done then in London? Like, what are your options?
yeah. You know, I kind of had a few injuries here and there the last couple years of my junior career, and I never really thought of pro as an option after junior that much. There was
Why
obviously
is
some
that? Just
interest
because you're
from,
not getting points?
well, just like mainly not getting a lot of
Attention.
attention, I guess, right?
People
And
not talking to
um,
you.
yeah, like there was, I guess, my draft year, this guy could be a bit under the radar, maybe, but didn't get drafted, and um, yeah, just like I said, had some injuries at unfortunate times where you're supposed to be getting looked at, and then there were some options to maybe sign like a two-way AHL East Coast League deal, go to the AHL tryout, but most likely you'd be starting in the East Coast League.
Yeah, you are
So a
if you
lot of
sign
that,
those. Yeah.
a lot of that. So I thought, you know what, part of the reason I went to play junior instead of college was because they started introducing this school packages in
Right.
the OHL. And so every year that you play in the OHL, um, you get they'll pay your tuition for that many years of college or university. So, I thought I want to go get my degree, get my schooling done, because my parents have kind of always taught me growing up, hockey isn't everything. At the end of the day, you got to have
And
something
it's
else to fall
not.
back on.
It comes to
Exactly.
an end, and like we both said, it comes to an end quick, right? You don't even know when you play your last game sometimes.
Exactly. It can come out of nowhere. So it's not always the fairy tale ending or when you want it to end. But yeah, so I decided, what, take advantage of that, go to Western.
Okay, was
Um,
there not a rule that if you go pro or you sign an NHL deal, then that school is package is gone?
I maybe NHL deal. I know some guys had it. I think mine might have had it too. If you played pro, you had to come back
Within a
like
year or two,
Christmas
right?
or within a year. Yeah. And you
They
could
don't give you
still
a
take
big
advantage of
window.
it.
It's either you're doing school or you're not, right?
Yeah, it's like a year maybe that you have to kind of go try pro, and if you don't like it, you can come back and go to school. But I just thought, I'm not going to waste my time and do that now. I'll just go to school right away. And Western, again, we had some great teams, great coach. Staying at home still, but um, yeah, I really wanted, I really liked the program, the business program there, so that's kind of how that fell into place.
Business there. So business management or what? What are you taking?
Yeah, so like I started with like the business management courses, and then I ended up going to the business school there my last 2 years.
Okay, well, here's another name drop. You ready? This is a
Ready?
Western Ontario name drop. Keaton Turkowich. I was working out with him in Waterloo with AJ Nagy when I guess it would I've been for a summer or two, it would have been right around when he's finishing at London and deciding whether or not to go pro or not. And he had signed some stuff. I don't know whatever happened, but then I think he got in the insurance world.
Yeah, he actually did. He's a good buddy of mine. Obviously, we met in university, and funny, we played against each other in the O, and I think he was playing for Windsor at the time. This would have been, we were 17 or 18, so earlier on in junior. And I think one game in London, we got into a bit of a melee towards the end of the game in front of our net, and I think I was trying to get someone off of one of our top scorers, and then this guy comes up from behind me and grabs, his arm around my neck and throws me down from behind and
There he
just
is.
jumps on me and tries to start feeding me. And I was just, I think I had a bum shoulder at the time. I'm trying to hold him off with one arm. So he was kind enough to remind me of that throughout our years at Western, and I didn't get me too bad. I was able to dodge most of them before it got broken up, but
Well,
um,
yeah, Turk guy, like I only worked out with him for like a summer, but you know those guys you work out with in the summer, the like guys that show up in the morning and are like he was a great dude. I really liked him. And then I ran into him years later when I was done hockey at it's a small world, that's all. And I ran into him at a hockey game, and it's interesting when you see guys after years and years and you find out what they're doing, right? It's like coming to the shed.
yeah, no, he'd be a great shed guy too. He's
It's a good
he's
dude.
he's got some stories. He played for many different OHL teams and then played a bit of pro too. And
Well,
yeah,
he
he's just a
did do
great guy.
really well in university. Eh? At City had 43 and 28, and then 47 and 28. It's pretty
Yeah, I
impressive.
think that last year, I think he might have won like the player of the year for like all of the CIS or Canada
And
for
then I don't think he
university.
really did play pro. I think he shut. I
He
think we worked out all summer, and then he was trying to decide what to do.
he played. I think he started. So yeah, he ended up going to I think San Francisco when they started that team, and that was I almost ended up going there actually. Funny enough,
Pat Curcio,
and
former shed guy.
Kurdog,
Yeah,
Kurdog, yeah, he was one of my coaches in junior.
really.
So yeah, yeah, he was an assistant coach in London. I think Salts was on the team too at that time. Um, yeah, he's a beauty.
I probably knew that. I've
Um,
just talked to too many people over the last year.
no, yeah, fair enough. You've done so many of these, but um, yeah, I think Turk kind of bounced around a bit, but yeah, I actually almost ended up going there um, to start, playing pro when I was done university. I don't know if I'm getting ahead of things here,
No,
but
that's where you were thinking. No, that's fine. We don't need to stay in Western for very long. It's a fun school though, too, right? London's a fun town. So you stayed there
yeah,
for a long time though. You're in London a lot of time of your life.
yeah, no, I was there for a while, and we had some, like I said, we had some great teams at Western, great school, great town. Getting to be with a lot of buddies that I grew up with still. A lot of them stayed here and went to school, and then also being with the hockey guys, and it was great. We ended up a
That would
couple
be fun.
heartbreaking losses to finish, but
Did you move
um,
out of your parents' house?
yeah, yeah, I moved out of
Attaboy.
the parents' house uh, once I finished junior, so I made the leap and
Nice.
got a place with a couple of guys, but um, yeah, we did well. We ended up actually my last year in university, we lost the national finals in overtime
Stop
uh,
it.
to McGill, so that one
Ah,
stung a bit. Um,
a bit.
but yeah, it
Yeah.
was we had, like I said, we had a great group, and then yeah, I was at that point I graduated, had my degree, and I thought, you know what, I don't want to stop playing hockey yet. I think
You
I'm gonna
still, yeah.
give this pro thing a go. At the time, I'm like maybe a year or two, and then we'll call it a day and start
Wow. And
working.
then you're like, yeah, and I know how it happens.
And then every year, the end of the season comes, maybe one more.
I never really doubted it. Was like really driven, and then it was like when I had the knee injury, man. I never really. I had been on the rise. I always thought like I'm still doing that, but like after the knee injury, it's like maybe you should just stop. But no,
Yeah,
it's you're
knees
right.
tough.
It's just interesting. Okay, like some guys can just stop, and like some guys can't, right? Some guys just want to keep playing, and
Yeah, I
there's
think
some of them
that happened
still
to me.
giving her. you know?
Yeah, lucky enough for them.
So then you almost went with Cur Dog, and there's always a connection, right? Wherever you go, there's a connection. You know somebody. That's how you end up there. So then
Yeah.
you don't go there. You end up in Dornbirn. So you never did play pro in North America, eh?
No, yeah, funny enough, that's one thing I don't regret, but I kind of wish I at least experienced.
Well, the
Uh,
only thing
you
I
know,
would say is you're a more North American style player, which is like the EIHL. And I think that's the type of player you are, right? You'd excel more in those environments. So like hard hockey. There's some soft
Yeah.
shit happening in Europe.
Yeah, that's true, I guess. But yeah, I kind of wish I experienced that, at least for a season. But I just kind of thought, you know what, this opportunity came up in Austria right before I was about to sign to go play in San Francisco and in the East Coast League, and
What time of
I
year is
thought,
this midsummer?
yeah, this would have been. It was getting pretty late, like probably around June, July-ish. Um, and
How does
yeah,
Dornbirn come up?
to be honest, I don't know
Is
how
that
it
your
came
agent?
about.
Your agent just did it?
I had an agent at the time to look at things in Europe, and they were moving up from the Alps League now, I guess it is. So they were in that league before, and they were moving up. I think Red Bull, Salzburg Red Bull, kind of partnered up with them and gave them an influx of cash so that they could come up to the top league. And a guy like me, they could probably get pretty cheap. So coming out of CIS
CIS.
hockey, undrafted, never, no NHL games, no North American pro games. So I just thought, you know what, if I end up playing in North America for a few years, I would want to go to Europe anyways to at least experience that. So I thought that
May
kind of
as well do it now.
trumped it. Yeah, and I'm like, I don't know, this league seems like a good league. I don't know if I'll get this chance again.
To be
And I
honest,
didn't. But
playing in the coast or whatever, like, is nothing to write home about, man. So I've been to Dornbirn. I played against them with Beatingheim. We went there for an exhibition game, and it was a
yeah,
beautiful town, nice old barn, right?
yeah, they had an old
Mountains
barn, but
all
really
around,
nice.
like,
Yeah, mountains all around, and it was a smaller town, but just a gorgeous area. I actually ended up playing there with Keither,
yeah,
Keither King.
research team found that. So is that where you met him?
Oh, nice. Yeah, that was the first time I met Keither. Uh,
He's a
yeah,
nice
he
guy
came.
too, eh? Shed guy.
Oh, great guy. Yeah, he was one of the best, and
Yeah.
we keep in touch still to this day, and our families continue to keep those connections. But yeah, he came pretty early in the year. I think he left Czech Republic pretty early. Yeah, and then
We just talked about
uh,
that in like episode 148. That was just like a week ago.
yeah, I think I caught some of that episode the other day.
It's hard to keep up.
It is hard to keep up. You churn them out quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it was great, to experience the European lifestyle. It's thrown into a fire for sure, but uh, our town was so small, like no one spoke English except for like the guys on the team.
And if you went out or did anything, people would know, right? It was a small little town.
Yeah, there was like, two or three bars and like three or four restaurants,
And
and
you're not old enough to really like, you're going to want stuff to do, right?
yeah, exactly. It was a bit tough that way. Yeah, it was a bit tough that way, but it was a good experience, and it could have been a lot worse for sure. Um, I know, like, there's some issues like driving. I never drove stick before, and so me and my two roommates, the guys I was gonna end up living with, we go to get the car, and we all look at each other like, "You drove stick before? No. You drove stick? No." So I don't know how I ended up being the one to drive. Maybe because I had the least what you would call it, pro experience or rank, I guess you could say. So I ended up driving, and I think I got us to the rink without killing anyone. It took us about an hour to get to the rink, which was 5 minutes away. We stalled about a dozen times, but eventually I figured it out.
Well, and I remember those days in Germany. They were all standard. You'd have players like their wives would say, "We have to have an automatic car," and then the team's like, "Come on, everybody uses a
Yeah,
standard." And then when you get there, everybody's got to try and figure it out. Every year there was always a guy that had no clue how to do it. I remember that in Germany. It was awesome. But then it's like you go to the UK and you got to drive on the wrong side of the car, right?
yeah, that was another experience in itself.
Yeah,
And
there's the
then
standard driving, and then there's like I don't know how many times I walk to the passenger side door when I'm in the UK, right? You go to open the door and you're like, There's no freaking wheel over here.
Not again. Yeah, I remember the first time I left our flat in the UK, and I go to hang a left at the light out of our complex, and I go like wide into the right lane, and I see a bunch of cars coming my way, and quickly crank the wheel over, like, oh, we're not in Canada anymore.
No. I always thought like if I'm driving and I'm on the curb, that's not a good sign. Try to be in the middle of the road as a driver.
Yeah,
Oh
keep it
shit.
close to the yellow line, you'll be okay.
So anyways, Dornbirn, you guys probably weren't that good because there was a smaller budget team, right?
Yeah, we weren't good at all.
You know who
You
else
know,
you
I
had
think
on there though, since we're dropping names like crazy? You had a couple more London Knights, Danny Bois, Dale Mitchell, right?
yeah, they were on that team. Mitchie actually played in Windsor. He played on that Windsor
Oh,
team
that's where he
that
played, right?
won a couple Mem Cups, but Danny Baugh was there, yeah. Trying to
John
think who else.
Hekamovic.
Yeah, Big
Yeah.
Heck.
So him
He's
and he was one of the guys that was telling me to go to Pensacola, Florida after my rookie year. And then I switched and went to Germany. But yeah, so I know him too. He's from like Kitchener Waterloo area too, right by me.
Yeah, he is. Right in your neck of the woods, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a small world when you get in the shed.
I think he was closer to hanging them up at that point. He had a kid or two kids maybe at that point. I can't remember, but yeah, he was definitely enjoying himself that year, and had some funny stories for sure.
Okay. Anyways, yeah, the only game I played at Dornbirn, we got into a line brawl because I got hit from behind in an exhibition game. But anyways, moving on. That year, you guys probably did okay, whatever, right? But then after that year, how'd you end up in Braehead or Glasgow?
Yeah, I think how that kind of came about was, looking again at Europe, I knew things didn't really end. They weren't terrible the way it ended in Austria, but I knew I wasn't going back there. At least with that coach.
Who
Not
was the
one of my
coach?
A guy named Dave McQueen.
Don't know.
So I think yeah, he's coached there for a while. Coached in Romania. I don't know where else, but anyways, so I'm skating in the summer, and I'm trying to think how it kind of fell into place. I'm pretty sure that was the year Salts went to Nottingham, and he signed pretty early, so he was already going. And I'm like, oh, like, can you put in a word for me? Like, that'd be sick. Play together and be on the same team again. Um, and so I guess I don't know how it really happened, but Nottingham, someone, I don't know if it was their coach, someone said, they knew a guy in London, Ontario. They asked me to go and skate for him for an hour to see if I could, and this is how it happened. So they wanted to know if I could play in the elite league because Dave McQueen, my coach in Austria, told
Said you
them
couldn't.
there's no way I'd survive in that league, and they called as a reference. Yeah, it shows you. I guess it shows you what he knows.
Yeah.
um, so I went out and skated. This guy was skating with like some junior
Well,
kids and
just
some
so you
tall
know, he
kids.
has the opposite opinion as me.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know, it was weird. I went out and like auditioned for a guy to
That would have
tell
been
some other
weird.
guy halfway across the world if I could skate. But turns out they ended up signing. God, who was it? Some monster of a D man. Nottingham that year. I forget his name. Salts would know, but um, he was slow as molasses, but a big tough guy.
Right.
And so then it just kind of came up. Like, I think Nottingham, because Neil Black owns Nottingham and Braehead, right? So somehow word got out to Finner in Braehead and just kind of contacted me, and the rest was history. We started chatting, and
Shed guy.
just yeah, another shed guy, and great coach. And we just started chatting about his goals and his vision for the team, and just clicked right away. And I knew that was where I wanted to go, and turned out to be a great decision because we had some good years there, and
You
wouldn't
definitely
change it
did.
for the world.
Yeah. No, yeah. He was I feel like he brings in guys like you try to bring into the shed, right? Like he was bringing in good dudes in Glasgow, like Haywood. He came like there's a bunch of them, right? And they all everybody seems like great dudes, and you guys were a great team. And that's how I ended up starting to have you guys on. Was I show up in Glasgow, and like I just saw you guys come out of the room, and everybody was like so happy and like seemed like they were enjoying life and hockey. And I was like, that's what hockey should be about. Like you leave, you're happy, you're smiling, that's hockey, you know?
Yeah, no, it was obviously we were enjoying ourselves and just had a great group of guys, great team on and off the ice. And yeah, I think, whatever it was, it just everything clicks, when it's sometimes everything just clicks. And
Yeah, like the
um
under 11 Concard Canucks.
there you go. Exactly. And it
Yeah.
all starts from the top with the coach.
He's just a rookie. No, but I do really do like it. It's really fun. But anyways, I never asked you about Austrian food. Did you get into much schnitzels while you were there?
Yeah, schnitzel was good. Like the schnitzel.
You don't seem
Trying to think what
passionate
else.
about it like I am, but that's okay.
No, it was good. It was you know, compared to some of the other stuff, definitely good. I'm trying to think what else we had there. There's like spatzel, the
That's
pasta,
yeah,
cheesy pasta.
I can make that
Um,
shit.
oh, nice. Yeah, that was a good one.
Oh yeah.
I think there
You
was
can have
another.
it with cheese. You can have it with cheese and bacon. You can, instead of that, you can put a gravy on it, right? And you can eat it all sorts of different ways. It's a
Yeah,
versatile noodle.
yeah, it really changes, eh?
It does. Yeah. I'm sorry.
Um,
I'm into this stuff. I like food. Sorry, I got issues.
no,
I don't
you
know
you
why I had
probably know.
weight issues as a player, but
I don't know why either. That stuff's good for you. It keeps you going.
it really
Um,
does.
I don't know. Do you know what I think it was called Leverkusen or
Oh,
Leverkusen?
Leverkusen.
It was like a giant hot dog loaf, and they
Yeah.
cut it up at like the gas station and
It
put it
was
on a
like
bun.
a giant big thing of bologna that was hot,
Yeah,
right?
like hot. Yeah, like so that was a good little. I know some guys on the team enjoyed that
Were you
treat
into
a little
that?
too much. I had a couple times, after a few
It didn't
few
turn my crank
drinks,
that
but
much. Yeah.
it was like a greasy little thing. But yeah, it was funny. A couple guys, I think
I really
they
enjoyed
fell
it.
in love with it, and
Yeah.
they started battling the scale that year.
It's
So
kind of like vice versa in Germany, the white sausages, you gotta like peel the condom off.
oh
And
yeah,
then you eat with the sweet mustard. And there's some people that love it and there's some people that hate it, right? I loved it. So
yeah.
not good
To
for the
each their
body
own.
type though. Yeah, exactly. It's funny.
Yeah,
I
it's good.
had written down here first time driving on the wrong side of the road. Anyways, okay. You go to Glasgow after being in Germany where nobody's speaking English, but what do you think about the accents in the UK? There's Scottish, English, Welsh. They're all different, eh?
Yeah, they're all different, and then you learn that they're all different in different parts of those nations as well. Um, yeah, the first year there, I couldn't understand a lick of. If anyone was over the age of like 40, I couldn't understand them because they were just like so thick and heavy, and you,
Right.
you know, you go to a restaurant, you sit down.
Scottish is harder to understand for me than the other ones. Oh, I guess there's Irish too, right? And I would say
Yeah,
Scottish, then Irish were the hardest ones for me to understand. And then yeah, Welsh and English
yeah,
weren't as
definitely,
bad.
definitely. Yeah, no, I think I would rank them the same. And then they talk so fast, but yeah, it's funny, like playing in Glasgow and playing in Fife, you notice there's differences, right, in the dialects and some of the words they use and the way they say certain things.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's a little different, but yeah, no, it's funny. Even my wife, when we'd go up for something to eat or something, she'd get asked a question by the waiter or waitress, and she'd kind of look at me like what did
What
they
they
say?
say. Yeah, I know. I
It's
know.
like basically like, "Are you all right? Like, do you want some more?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, no, okay."
Well,
But yeah, it's
that's the question in Wales I always didn't like was they always asked if I was all right. They're like, "You all right? You all right?" I'm like,
yeah.
why wouldn't I be all right? Do I not look all right? I don't understand. Why are you asking me if I'm all right? I'm fine.
Should I
I'm
be
having a great
concerned?
day. But yeah, that's what, instead of saying hello, they say, "You all right?" I'm like, of course I'm all right. Great
I
day.
think they kind of said they might have said that too in Sheffield. Trying to think, but yeah,
Oh,
it is
okay.
funny.
Better move on. Better get into the hockey stuff. Okay. So Fenner's the coach all 4 years you're in Glasgow.
Yeah, yeah. So 4 years with Finner, and
That's a long
uh,
time with a coach, right?
yeah, it was. And things after that fourth year, things kind of, for whatever reason,
You guys got
butting of
so
the
close
heads
to
or went
winning,
separate
right?
ways.
You guys got so close to winning that sometimes it really stings when you end up losing. But man, I think
Yeah,
Glasgow really lost a great coach that when they decided to get rid of him.
yeah. I think a lot of the players would have agreed too at the time, and
And because
um,
I have a shed and I can say whatever I want, probably sucks for him that now he's in Manchester and he has no budget and he wants to be a good coach, but he just doesn't have the budget to win, right? But what do I
yeah,
know?
yeah. I mean, it was we had that core, right, and you had the coach for 4 years, you had core group of players for 3 4 years. Um, and we did come close a few times. That 14 15 years sucked a lot.
Yeah,
uh,
I
the
know.
Edinburgh Capitals
Yeah.
will they'll always hold a dark place in my heart. But
Yeah.
um,
Good thing they're
yeah, it
not
was.
around anymore for you.
Yeah, 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 we won it. We ended up winning at the end of the day. But yeah, it was good. I mean, away from the rink, at the rink. I know you've talked to a lot of the guys, especially from that year and a couple other years, and they'll all say the same thing. Like, just a tight group of guys, and not just the guys, but their families, or wives, girlfriends.
And
Um,
that's what I saw when you guys came out of the locker room when I like, because that's what I'm into. I'm into teams being teams. I'm into the Kincardine Canucks being the team they were. And when you guys came out of the room, I'm like, huh, I'm worried about that team because I'm like, that's a team. And I could
yeah,
just see it before I got on the bus. I'm like, that team worries me.
yeah,
Yeah.
no, we like I said, it just clicked, and it was just a couple really good years there, a couple years where we came real close. Only made the playoffs my first year, um, which I think we kind of got shortchanged there, but we deserved better a few years. But um, yeah, it was a great time. I have no complaints
Well,
about my
let's
time
talk
there.
about your hockey playing then, okay? Because most of your career, you didn't put up a ton of points. You were maybe like a power play guy in London, the 2 minute a shift guy. And then you go to Austria and the coach, I don't know what he's looking at, but
Didn't think I could skate.
there you go. So then you get to Braehead and you're putting up 30 points a year as a D man. So you're getting some PP time. And I've seen you play. I played against you. I was a big fan. And you did everything right. You were always in the right position. You worked hard. You battled hard. Um, you had a one timer. I thought you could do everything. So I don't know. But you had over 30 points a year, and then you start coming into your own, eh? And you got
Yeah,
a coach
again,
that believes in you. Isn't that something that works sometimes?
it's crazy, huh? Yeah, it's like I said, it's situation, it's opportunity, and having someone kind of trust and believe in you and giving you that chance. And yeah, it just seemed to really click. And yeah, I sort of broke out and became more offensive, I guess, starting in those years. And
Well, I wouldn't say
it definitely
you were
helped.
just doing everything. You were doing everything. I remember playing against you guys. I'm like, this guy is doing the power play, he's doing the penalty kill, he's out there against the top lines. I'm like, fuck, this guy. Yeah. That's why when I became a fan, I was like, so he's playing against the top lines, he's playing power plays, playing penalty kill. I'm like, yeah, that's really what you want a defenseman to do, right?
At the end of the day, yeah, I guess so. But yeah,
Usually.
we had such a good team. Like, I think the offensive side of things just came really easy. Like, you get a couple assists here and there where you just feed it to one of the big dogs, and they go down and score. So it all, you know, everyone has their part to play. And
Everybody
I was
does
just
on
I
a
was just
team. Yeah.
fortunate. Yeah, I was just fortunate to get some individual points. But yeah, like, that didn't really matter at the end of the day. It was more about the team. And
I,
um
I know.
it
I
was
know
unfortunate
exactly what you're
that we
saying.
we couldn't get that trophy at the end of the year. But um Yeah, but it was some fun times for sure.
I know exactly what you're saying though, because yeah, the kid, he won a couple MVP bags last weekend, and then he wanted to take one to school. I know he was pissed off he lost, but he's taking it to school. So I snapped a photo of him. And then we were driving to school that day. He goes, "Well, Dad, like, I didn't, when we lost, I didn't want the MVP bag." And I'm like, I know, I know that all that matters is winning and losing the game. It doesn't matter who's the MVP. It doesn't matter who scores the goal. And when my kid was saying that at the age he's at, I'm like, you got the right mindset, right? And you got the same one. And it's like the guys that are only in it for their goals and assists and their points, and it's not about winning and losing the game. I got no time. Right?
Yeah, no, he's sounds like he's going places for sure, whether it's hockey or whatever else he might be after. But yeah, no, that's
It
the
was a cool
attitude you want.
moment. Yeah, it was because like a lot of kids would be excited about their bag. It's like, I didn't want it. I'm like, I know.
Take it back. Take this piece of shit back.
Yeah, just give me the win. Okay, so then you do your 4 years. Everything was good, everything's great, but then Finner's leaving, right? So then
Yeah,
everything changed there.
yeah, it got kind of just blew everything up. Like our whole core
Who
group of
oh
guys.
Fit did Fitzy coach right after him? Who coached right after him?
I think it was John Tripp.
Oh, the guy
Yeah,
from Germany.
yeah, big guy with a mustache.
Right. I know. They're from Germany. I was in Germany a long time. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so I think like Mizey, Keither, uh, Frankie, they were all hanging them up.
That
Um,
and that's a core.
that's a big part of the core, and
Yeah.
um, Fitzy was leaving to go elsewhere. Or no, Fitzy he was already
He went to
he gone
Sheffield,
already?
right?
Yeah, he went to
Because that's where
Sheffield.
you went.
I went to Sheffield. Um, yeah, just guy, and then you just talking to certain guys that weren't getting re-signed, and they were maybe going somewhere else or different league. So basically, it just kind of blew up, and I think Braehead didn't return. I think they might have returned one import. I think Scott Pitt was the only import they returned, and then everyone else
That's
was gone. And yeah, it was unfortunate, but that shit happens, and you move on. And
yeah. Well, you get
um,
a new coach, and like new coaches want different cores, and it sounds like Finner and I want the same course. So shout
yeah,
out to
and
you, Finner.
it's from one coach to another.
Yeah.
Um,
That's the type of guys I would want as the leaders on my team was exactly who he had. So there's that.
yeah, and I think there was always some disagreement with with Finner, what Finner wanted and what management wanted, but um, yeah, like I said, at the end of the day, it was unfortunate that it had to end. The ride had to end with that group, but
Yeah.
um, yeah, I mean, it was great, and we enjoyed every minute of it.
So then after that year, then how do you end up in Sheffield? Because I do say nice things about Sheffield now, even though they beat us by 2 points in 14-15 and the next year when I was hurt and acting like a donkey. But they're a sought after team. Players want to go there based on their reputation and their track record. They were one of the teams I talked to first when I came to the UK. How do you end up there?
Yeah. So I was talking with Finner still pretty closely at that point, and looking at Manchester, possibly going down there with Finner. And then, like you said, maybe not as big of a budget, but um, he was just, saying, I don't know, what we can do with the budget. I had a wife and a kid at that time. Um,
And like I said
actually,
earlier, because I don't know what I'm talking about in my shed, but he's a great coach. And if he had the budget, he used to have a Braehead, he could probably get together a core like he used to, right? But
yeah. So he was actually the way it came about, and again, just shows you the type of guy Finner is. He must have reached out to Paul Thompson, who was coaching Sheffield, Tomo, and must have put in a good word for me because I got a call out of nowhere from Tomo, and that's kind of how that came about. And
So he just
I said,
called
yeah,
you.
I'd love to go. Yeah, he just asked if we could talk, sent me a message.
And that's how it works though, because like realistically, after I played against Glasgow or Braehead, and like if I would have been coaching a team next year, I would have just called you. I would have been like, "Hey, I saw you play."
Yeah, it was pretty easy conversation, and they had one import left to sign, and yeah, then Fitzy was going to be there, and knew a couple other guys, Ben O'Connor, reuniting after many years apart. But
Yeah. So you
yeah,
hadn't seen
so
him since under 16, and then you play with him again in Sheffield?
I I saw him like a few times here and there. I think he came to London one summer for like a week or two. Um, I think I would have been in university at this point. He was playing in like Kazakhstan or something at that point. But yeah, it was funny how it came full circle, and we ended up playing together again. And
So then Tomo
um,
was the coach that year.
yes, yeah,
And
Paul Thompson.
was that his first year as the coach there?
I'm
How many
trying to
years
think.
did he coach there? What isn't he like best friends with Simsy? And then didn't they gas him?
Yeah, so they got rid of. I'm trying to think. I think they might have got rid of him the next year, but I don't know if that was his second time coaching there or not. That I
Yeah,
everything blends in for me, so I don't
it sure
remember
does.
exactly.
I
But
know.
he was really close with Simsy, and um, yeah, I mean we had obviously Sheffield, big budget team. He had a lot of big name guys and guys with resumes, and
You guys had
we had
some
a
players.
yeah we had a good team. Um, we just couldn't really put it together, right? We had some
Well,
of those
that
games
league's
where we,
hard,
we
man.
should have won, and
If there's a team that really gels and a team that really comes together and are also good, it's hard to keep up with them, right? Like sometimes you can still be good and just not be good enough, right?
exactly. And like you said, like I think that league got so much better every year since I started.
I'm
I
glad I
started
got
in
out when I did.
I started in 2013, and by 2020 it's just crazy. It was night and day. It just not just the quality of players, but the rinks, the atmosphere, the quality of
The
the league
social
itself, and
media, like
yeah, like things like social media, it just makes a difference, right?
what makes it look more professional and more legit, right? Like back when we were
Yeah.
in the big blue tent and like it was, it was, yeah, it wasn't like what you see now.
No, it was. I mean, it's obviously got its own character, right? But
Yeah,
um, yeah, it's a step up, I think now. A bit of a step up what Cardiff has going on now.
a little bit, but it could have done better with the rink. Anyways,
I
um,
agree.
some of the things that or some of the players that Liam Kirk, he was like a young little punk when you played with him then in Sheffield, eh? He's doing
Yeah,
good
he
things
was.
other than his knee injuries, which suck.
Yeah, that is unfortunate, but yeah, he was just a young guy, young kid, and yeah, you could tell he's going to be a good player. Maybe it was a bit surprising to go to the NHL,
Or like
to
to the
get
world
drafted and have
championships and
that
like get the
shot.
most goals like in the world
But yeah,
championships.
but you could definitely see it with the skill he had at that age. And I always thought to myself, if he just put on a little more weight and was a bit stronger, this guy could be dangerous. And sure enough, he uh he performed, and it's good for him. It's good to see him doing well.
For sure. So then Matthew Wall was on that team. He's been on, and then also you had Fitzy came with you, and then Colton Freder. He was a Chatham Maroon I played against back when I was a Sugar King. He was there a long time, eh?
Yeah, yeah, he was there for many years before me. And they had I think that was probably the last year that their core kind of remained intact.
Because
So
Legui
guys like
left.
Wazzy.
Legui wasn't on that team, right? So he had just
No,
left. So the whole core starts changing there too, right?
yeah, it was slowly starting to turn over. And but yeah, we had some great guys like the guys you mentioned. We had Matt Marquardt was another great guy. The list kind of goes on again. I could go
Yeah.
through the whole team. But
So the year in Sheffield, did you like it?
yeah, I mean, it was good. You get treated very professionally. Um, awesome facilities, awesome, the way you get treated. Um, it was just, it was a bit different. Like, I think part of it was, we were in Scotland for 4 years. You go to England, you just notice little things are different. Um, and then it was just like, there's more politics with a team that like is big like that. I didn't really get involved too much. I think I didn't like this year. I didn't play a ton of power play time. I think I saw like 2 shifts on the power play the whole year. Um, and so I was kind of just laid back, did my job, you know,
Did what was asked of
tried,
you, and
tried to
yeah.
play solid defensively. I think me and Fitzy were partners for most of the year, so that didn't have to worry about getting killed out there because I had Fitzy on my other side. But yeah, it was just different. No complaints at all, and I was fortunate to play there. It was just it just seemed like you've seen it with Sheffield. They have a 2-loss weekend and they're threatening to cut half the team, and um,
Yeah.
it's just different. It wasn't like that when we were in Glasgow, so it was
Well,
a bit different.
you know what? I think it is a cutthroat business, and I think winning makes everything way better in hockey. And when you're winning, you think everybody's nicer, and then when you start losing, even in under 11, you lose a couple games, the parents start chitter chattering, right? The kids are like, well, then why is this happening? And like losing, negativity comes out like crazy, and winning, there's a ton of positivity, and it's crazy. Um, your computer is gonna die. Is that what you just wrote to me?
Yeah,
Okay, we're almost done anyways. How almost dead are you?
I think we're at 2%, 1% here.
Oh boy. Okay. Fight Flyers 2 years. Oh
Can
boy.
we?
Good barn. What do you want to do? Here, stop recording. Let's go pee.